to you, and now you're pushing me away like I'm a problem, like I'm a disease.
A transgender teen says he was asked to leave his Christian school because he identified as a boy.
You just saw bodies and you run to them and you're checking pulses, breathing, people giving CPR.
When thousands of people ran out of range, off-duty first responders in Las Vegas stayed under the hail of gunfire to rescue the injured.
For some reason, when I saw him in the news, the first thing I said to Allison was, I know that guy, I know that face.
Self-defense experts from Las Vegas happened to be vacationing in Maine when tragedy struck their hometown. They tell us about their brief interaction with the gunman and explain how easily a legal weapon can be modified. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. We'll meet the student from Lebanon in just a minute. But first, the latest from Las Vegas. Officials now saying that the death toll is at 59 people after a gunman opened fire from a hotel window, raining bullets down on people gathered for the country music festival on the famous Las Vegas Strip. More than 500 are injured. Officials believe that the assailant had a stash of more than 20 weapons in his Mandalay Bay hotel room.
Now, families all over the country are getting the news no one wants to hear, that their loved ones were killed in the shooting. From California to Massachusetts, the names of the deceased are slowly coming out. Officials will not identify a victim until the family is notified, which is why these can come so slowly.
And in a press conference just a couple of minutes ago, the sheriff out there had announced that they have identified all but 3 of the victims right now.
All right. Meanwhile, in Maine this weekend, this couple owns a self-defense academy in Vegas and teach everything from gun safety to Krav Maga.
Now today when we spoke with them, they told us that the gunman visited their booth at a gun show just last month.
For some reason, when I saw him in the news, the first thing I said to Allison was, I know that guy, I know that face. And I'm really good with faces, and I didn't recognize where he was from the gun show.
Allison and Brian Campbell own Campbell Defense Academy. Brian told us that he briefly interacted with the gunman at a gun show about a month ago. Brian and Allison teach classes on firearms, and they explained to us how a semi-automatic weapon can be modified to fire just as fast as a highly regulated automatic weapon. They explained 2 methods, a bump stock and a binary trigger.
And you know, when people dribble a basketball, it gets really close. The faster they do it, goes really fast. Same situation, when that bump fire hits your shoulder, it rebounds off your shoulder and it causes your finger to keep on pulling the trigger. That could probably shoot 30 rounds in 3 seconds.
Wow.
And then the binary trigger drops in, takes about 5 to 10 minutes to put it in. So it's completely legal because it's not automatic, because you're not pulling it in one shot. It's pull and release. But by doing it quickly, you could probably shoot 30 rounds in 2.7 seconds.
Now, investigators say they're looking into whether or not the gunman used a bump stock, as Brian was just describing.
Yeah, Allison and Brian, by the way, are headed home tomorrow. Allison says she plans to hold a candlelight vigil in front of the famous Las Vegas sign on Thursday. Now, as those bullets were coming down in rapid fire, thousands of people obviously fled that area.
But those that stayed behind or ran into the danger zone, the EMTs, the police officers, the firemen, they're being hailed as heroes today.
EMTs from Oregon tell us about the harrowing moments when they chose to stay and help the injured.
Jason Aldean on stage at a country music festival in Las Vegas. Dawn Marie Gray, St. Paul, Oregon, shot this video just minutes before bullets rained down from the 32nd floor of the nearby Mandalay Bay.
It didn't stop. People started running.
Dawn Marie and her husband, Kevin, took cover inside a VIP area where they stayed until the gunfire stopped.
When we came out, it was horrific. It was a field of bodies.
Having worked as a paramedic for almost 7 years, Dawn Marie knew the local paramedics couldn't move in until it was safe. So instead of moving as far away as possible, she and her husband turned their attention to the victims.
Providing CPR, providing tourniquets, holding pressure.
Pressure on the wounds. And they weren't alone. They were joined by a few dozen other off-duty nurses and doctors who happened to be at the concert.
You just saw bodies and you run to them and you're checking pulses, breathing, people giving CPR.
The Grays recall loading victims into waiting cars, sometimes as many as 6 people in one vehicle. Others were put into ambulances.
There's a mother, was the last one I put inside of an ambulance. She got shot in the arm and in the leg. Unfortunately, it got both major arteries. She's fighting for her life.
What the Grays and many others did is nothing short of remarkable, but they'll tell you they're not heroes.
That's being a human being. That is doing our job.
A lesson the Grays hope to pass down to their kids. But for now, a simple hug will do. It's never felt sweeter
Angels are watching
than it does right now.
That was Mike Benner reporting from our media partners out in Oregon.
Turning now to a story a little closer to home, a transgender boy from Lebanon is settling into his new life in public school after he says he was asked to leave his Christian high school because of his gender identity. Christina Rex has his story.
It felt brutal to me, and I just I can't believe I grew up under you. Like, I looked up to you, and now you're pushing me away like I'm a problem, like I'm a disease.
That's how Stiles Zuschlag felt when he says he was asked to leave Tri-City Christian Academy in Somersworth, New Hampshire.
I've been there since kindergarten. That's my home. That's my family, and I didn't want to be attached from all that. Like, I didn't want to leave my family behind. I loved them so much. I knew the education so well.
He had come out as transgender in 2015 and was transitioning from Aaliyah the girl to Stiles the boy. Before his junior year, he says he was called into a meeting and was asked by administrators to stay quiet about his transition. He cooperated, using the girls' bathroom, staying quiet online, and even playing on girls' sports teams.
I want to be here. Even if you don't love me, I want to be here. I'm going to try my best.
Stiles began taking testosterone, and the transition became more obvious. In a meeting just before senior year, the aspiring valedictorian says he was given an ultimatum.
I could repent and confess my sins, and denounce that I was male, stop testosterone, and seek Christian counseling through them. Or the other one is I can do homeschooling under the umbrella of the school, but I cannot be valedictorian.
None of the options felt right for Stiles, who had already been through a long journey of self-discovery.
I had a feeling that I was out of the ordinary, that I didn't know who I was, that I was completely different. I didn't know why.
Figuring out who you are and who you want to be is a difficult challenge for any teen. For Stiles, he says ever since he was a little kid, something just didn't feel right inside.
Like, I didn't know how to do and be a female, and that was really, really hard for me.
It all changed when a friend told Stiles to look up the word transgender.
Like, oh my God, I understand that now. Like, I've been feeling that for years, but no one told me. I'm a boy, like, that's me. And that was like a huge hitting moment that I can start changing myself.
After over a decade at the same school, Stiles knew it was time to find a new place where he felt accepted and loved. So he came here to Nobel High School for his senior year.
We want all students to feel like they belong here at Nobel High School, and that's a small thing we can do to help them feel like they're part of the community.
Yeah, we have over 1,100 students just in this building alone, and every student belongs.
Thank you for taking me in. Thank you for being so kind-hearted and empathetic and understanding my situation, even if it wasn't your situation. They took on my burdens as if they were their own, and they made me a comfortable person here. They made sure that I was safe and happy, and I really, really appreciate that.
As for his relationship with God after the last year?
Stronger. It's like he wanted me to be here instead, and I...
Now, Stiles is settling just fine at Noble High School. He's already been nominated for Homecoming King, where he did reach out to Tri-City Christian Academy for a comment yesterday. We still have not received any response.
And the Christian school does not directly receive any federal or state funding through the New Hampshire Department of Education. We asked attorney Karen Hughes of Ed Law New England if the school's religious or private status makes it exempt from discrimination laws. She said essentially it's a big gray area in the law.
All right, we want to know what you think about this. Do you think private schools should have to follow the same anti-discrimination laws as public schools? Answer in our Pulse poll. Go to pulse.newcentermaine.com or open the Pulse tab on our mobile apps. You see the numbers at the bottom of your screen. All right, coming up, the former CEO of Equifax has called before Congress to defend the credit reporting agency. What he says has changed at the firm since that massive attack.
Lots of people kind of follow their nose, and they may end up working on something which comes to be regarded as significant.
And this Maine man worked on something that ended up winning him a Nobel Prize. We hear from Jeffrey Hall later on Now.
Coming up tonight on 207, Cara Diagorda used to be a judge on the most popular show on TV, American Idol. Now she's involved in an entirely different kind of contest, this one for kids and adults learning to read. Tonight on 207.
All right, raise your hand if you feel like our timelines and social media feeds have just been inundated with back-to-back sad news, disasters. Yeah, I'll give you 2 for that one. Well, yesterday, NPR had a little bit of a boo-boo. An organization accidentally posted a personal but quirky status on Facebook, so nobody got mad because it ended up being really cute. An editor at NPR posted about a Ramona in a series of situations. Ramona is given a new toy. She smiles, examines for 20 seconds, and discards. Ramona gets a hug. Akeisha's momentarily squirms to be put down. Ramona sees 3 cats, immediately possessed by shrieking, spasmodic joy that continues after cats flee for their lives. 12 minutes later, that editor is horrified and edits the post apologizing for the error, saying it's a personal post intended not for NPR. So we see mistakes like this all the time, you know, depending on the post. Some people get fired for it, of course. I'm actually personally terrified that one day on the News Center page, I'm going to post about the fries that I had for lunch one random day. But in this case, people actually wanted a lot more of the mistake that happened on Facebook. Suzanne wants a raise for the editor for boosting the morale of the American people. Jay wants Ramona updates as a new feature series at NPR. And Jessica says, you know, this is why I love NPR. Clear, unbiased reporting. And now there are hashtags. They're saying bring back Ramona, Ramona forever, like Ramona updates. And no one really knows who Ramona is or what she's doing. Well, NPR followed up finally and showed us Ramona herself. She's not a cat, but she does have a cat, and she's super adorable. And she made so many people smile for however many minutes that we can use all the smiles that we can.
I now picture,
The cynical people would say that wasn't a mistake, that was on purpose. Either way,
exactly,
it was brilliant because everybody's talking about it. So,
I mean, even if it wasn't on purpose, I mean, maybe that guy deserves a raise, you know?
And look at Ramona.
I know.
How cute with the kitty.
I picture Ramona shrieking now.
Yeah, just kind of freaking out. And then all the cats running away, but that still cracks her up, which
it's still better than most of the stuff we've seen on social media the past couple of days.
That is very true. So who knows? Maybe NPR will definitely take the readers up on it.
We need more updates.
All right, more Ramona.
All right, thanks, Katie. All right, he's a Nobel Prize laureate, but he isn't exactly the stuffy professor type. Meet this world-renowned scientist next on Now.
And if you're all in on fall, we've got some bad news because Keith is bringing the heat when we come back.
All right, it's not every day you get to meet a Nobel Prize winner. And yesterday we told you about a man from Cambridge, Maine, who was honored for his contributions in physiology.
Well, today, News Center's Tennyson Coleman sat down with him to get to know the man behind the award. Hey, Tennyson.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Jeffrey Hall is one of the most laid-back people I've ever talked to. He lit a cigarette and we just shot the breeze. Here's a look at a day in the life of a Maine man who just so happened to win a Nobel Prize.
Jeffrey Hall may be a Nobel Prize winner for his scientific research, which began in the late 1970s, but today, the man in his early 70s is no mad scientist.
So I'm a little bit of an odd duck.
No, he's just an ordinary guy living in Cambridge, Maine, cigarette in hand. And if you asked him 50 years ago if he thought he'd ever win a Nobel Prize, he'd say,
no way. The chance of that, it would be about the same as walking outside and flapping my arms and ending up on the dark side of Uranus.
That's because he and his colleagues were once mocked by other scientists for their work on fruit flies, discovering details about biological clocks that most did not know at the time.
It was a discovery, but at the time not very meaningful.
Hall has no spouse or children of his own, but he does have 7 dogs, all Jack Russells.
I've loved dogs ever since I was 7 years old.
He also loves Maine scenic beauty. On a nice day, you can catch him hanging by the pond near his home or riding one of his 3 Harley-Davidsons down Somerset County's dirt roads.
I just like the idea of riding a motorcycle, because it is not easy and it's dangerous.
Talk about bad to the bone. Hall humbly refers to becoming a Nobel laureate as an honor, but
it shouldn't be regarded as important. Lots of people kind of follow their nose and they may end up working on something which comes to be regarded as significant.
Reflecting on decades of research that paid off this week in a major way.
I said, and Jesus, they're paying me a little bit to do research. That's as good as it gets. To have a job that you like, and they pay you a little.
What a guy. We talked for close to an hour and a half. Hall is definitely someone you just want to chat with over coffee. This was just a small portion of our conversation. I'll have more of it on our website and mobile app. Back to you guys.
Yeah, okay, he's awesome. Like, don't you just want to hang out with this guy and be like...
I want to hang out with the dogs, too. Like, the
That would be
dogs, him, maybe like a record.
Does he look like a scientist? I mean, you think scientist? I'm not thinking that.
Not in the traditional sense.
Yeah, not necessarily.
But
more geeky, nerdy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of medium-ish kind of look.
Something. Yeah.
I thought I was rugged and manly now that I have a beard. Is that not?
No.
Not accurate.
No.
All right. Let's do some weather. It was pretty nice out there today, right? Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Just a little bit cooler, though, into the 50s in a lot of spots already, low 60s, which is about average for this time of the year. But we've been running so warm that when we get average, it feels cool, right? Nice and bright today. A few clouds over down East Maine, but those will be gone shortly. We'll be clear through the rest of tonight and clear through most of tomorrow as well. Cold front here won't approach until Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And in the meantime, we're going to get into a strong southwest flow tomorrow, and that's why we have a shot at 80, as I thought that we might when I looked at it last week. High pressure, it's all about the position of highs. So basically, short version, when the high pressure is to your west, the winds are out of the north, so it's typically the cool side of the high. Right now, it's in what we call a neutral position, almost directly over us, so temperatures are average. When it shifts east, now you get on the west side of that high, you get that southwest flow, and that's our chance to be mild tomorrow. A front comes through tomorrow night, early Thursday morning. But it's not exactly cold behind this front. I think we're still in the 70s on Thursday, and then that more seasonable air sets in on Friday. And then this is our weekend, flirting back and forth with a warm front Saturday, Sunday, and into the holiday on Monday. Hour by hour forecast, temperatures cool but not cold tonight. And then tomorrow they start rising quickly. Again, almost everyone above 75. Question of whether or not you get to 80 will be if you're a little bit away from the coastline. I think is your best chance. Here come your showers. Wednesday night, Thursday, there's not many of them. And I think much of the day on Thursday is actually bright, pleasant, and in the 70s, which is still warm for this time of the year. So 80, a good shot on Wednesday. We stay mild on Thursday, get to average on Saturday. I think Sunday, though, now, looking like we could be back into the 80s. In fact, if I had to weight it, I'd say Sunday's your better chance of getting to 80 as opposed to tomorrow. And it will be humid. Look at the dew points on Sunday afternoon, mid-60s. So that is noticeably humid air in October. So there's always that. The weekend doesn't look bad. I put a shower in on Sunday and one on Monday, but it might be a 10 to 15% kind of deal. Like, I don't think it's a big deal, but if I left it out, it would be not untruthful, but it would be confusing to people. But look at Sunday. I think Sunday has a chance to be really nice, really mild, and showers come in on Tuesday.
And 16 degrees warmer than Saturday.
It is,
love
yes.
that.
So there's that. There's that aspect too, yeah.
All right, sir.
All right, thanks, Keith. Equifax's former CEO said he's responsible for the data breach that exposed the personal information of millions. Richard Smith testified before members of Congress. He apologized for the criminal hack, saying the breach was because of human and technological errors. Social security numbers, addresses, driver's license numbers were stolen by hackers. Smith also announced a new Equifax service that will allow consumers the ability to control their credit data, including locking and unlocking their credit files when they want.
Congressman, the company's come out with what they feel is a comprehensive 5 different services today and a lifetime lock. I would encourage, to be clear, I would encourage TransUnion and Experian to do the same. It's time we change the paradigm, give the power back to the consumer to control who accesses his or her credit data.
All right, to be clear now, the CEO retired after this breach. He was not fired.
Yeah. All right, Cindy Williams has a look at the stories coming up at 5:30. Hey, Cindy.
Hi guys, we've got an update on a really odd hunting accident. A man was shot in the face with bird shot yesterday while he was out hunting. 2 men then fled the scene. We've got an update on what happened today. Plus, the battle over a major expansion at one of Maine's most popular summer attractions. We're going to find out why some people are so against this project at the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens. Those stories and much more coming up at 5:30.
All right, thanks, Cindy, and we'll be right back.
It's been a long time since Lake Region High School has hosted a big football game, but that will be the case this week. The 4-1 Lakers welcome the 3-2 Wildcats out of York. This game was voted on by you as our hometown showdown of the week. So the fifth quarter crew is heading to both schools to get you fired up for Friday in Naples. It will be a good one, so watch out for that.
All right, let's get one final look at that Pulse poll. 65% say yes, private schools should follow the same anti-discrimination laws as public schools.
Thank you for your votes, and thanks for keeping that conversation civil for us on Facebook. We certainly appreciate that. All right, we're dropping some brain.
We're doing it. All right, I want to start with some video out of Mexico last week, which was fish raining down from the clouds. And this is something that you hear, it's a phrase, there's some records of it in biblical times and whatnot. It can actually happen, and what happened in this situation is a water spout was nearby, so it can pick up fish, small fish, you can tell they're almost like sardine size, out of the water and drop them on the ground. And by the way, Leah, you look skeptical. They had several reports, and law enforcement confirmed that they were falling from the sky. So we want to talk about how that's possible, right? A water spout is very similar to a tornado. This is the schematic of a tornado within a cloud. So what happens is you have low pressure in the center of the tornado, high pressure outside of it. That creates surface inflow. So that's the kind of the sucking in motion of it. Once it gets into the funnel, now you have all these updrafts, which is what creates hail. So if the object is small enough, light enough, like lighter than a hailstone, it can be suspended for a while and then dropped somewhere else. Some of the more famous cases of cows, for example, being thrown, that's being centrifuged. They're not being supported. They're being thrown with velocity away from the tornado.
Oh, wow.
So tornadoes are very strong. And here's a video of this. I was in Dallas last year showing it pick up and centrifuge trucks, tractor trailers. So it gives you an idea of the strength.
Jeez.
So fish, no problem, when it can pick up a tractor trailer.
Yikes. Okay. All right.
So there's that.
There's that.
News Center at 5:30 starts right now.